That's the.
I found that.
You know, what?
Thank you very much. Usually it's. Sorry, and then I'll ask you to leave normally. Yeah. Like
12:47, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Meeting of the Harbor Review Committee. We'll begin with the roll call committee members. Commissioner Ponce.
Here.
Commissioner Rubin. Here. Commissioner Fair. Here. I'm here. And we'll begin with a motion to approve the minutes from our May 8th, 2025 meeting. We have a motion. Seconded. Moved by Commissioner Fair, seconded by Commissioner Rubin. Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a yes, and the motion carries unanimously, and this will be posted on the commission's website. There are two projects on today's agenda. Staff and commission will present the project on the agenda and state their recommendation. Following the staff presentation, the committee will have an opportunity to ask questions of staff. The applicant may then make their statement. Following the applicant's statements, members of the public may make their statements. I'd like to ask anyone other than the applicant wishing to make a statement on the item on today's agenda to complete a public comment card and give the comment card to a member of the staff, and comment cards are available at the door. As a courtesy to the individuals wishing to offer comments, we ask that members of the general public limit their statements to 3 minutes or less. When the time comes for public comment on the item on the agenda, I will call the names on the cards and ask you to make your statement. Please state your name, interest, organization, and company you represent, if any. Our first project is 141 West Jackson in the 34th Ward, the Chicago Board of Trade. Proposed installation of switchable electronic window films and digital projectors to display non-commercial video images on the 5 north and east first floor windows. And I'd like to call on Tyler to give the presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. Our first project is Chicago Board of Trade. Iconic Board of Trade building is located at 141 West Jackson at the southern termination of LaSalle Street. The building is one of Chicago's most iconic skyscrapers and is recognized worldwide as an excellent example of the Art Deco style architecture. It was designed by Halliburton Root and completed in 1930 as the headquarters of Chicago Board of Trade, which still occupies the building today. A permit application was approved in January 2025 to build out a small museum in the ground floor suite in the northeast corner of the building, pictured here. Per the applicant, the museum will contain exhibits on the Board of Trade, the history of commodities trading in the building itself, and admission will be free. Proposal has since been received to convert the space's 5 windows, highlighted here in orange, into digital display screens using a combination of electronic switchable films and projectors. The displays would be used to show art and images related to the museum's content. The proposed switchable films are manufactured by Visionary. When switched off, they appear as a clear film, as shown at left, is still frame from a video provided by the manufacturer demonstrating the project. When an electrical current is applied, they instantly turn to a frosted appearance as shown at right. The proposed films would take up the upper 70% of the window area of each window, with the lower portion remaining clear at all times. The films provide a surface for digital projectors mounted within the space to project a video display onto the windows, effectively turning them into video screens. A mock-up of this system was tested, as shown in these photos provided by the applicant. The projected images are most visible when the windows are not in bright sunlight. For the applicant, the screens would be off, the windows completely clear most of the day, and would be activated for periods of time in the afternoon and evening. A schedule for when and where and for what duration the displays will be active should be provided to the historic preservation staff. The imagery shown on the video displays is intended to be artistic and educational in nature, relating to the content of the museum, and intended to draw visitors to the space. Example imagery provided shows animations of hand signals used by traders on the trading floor and examples of different trading jackets. When switched on, the displays as proposed would not entirely obstruct the windows and would always allow views into the space. Further, the screens would only be activated on a set schedule, with the windows being entirely clear the remainder of the time. The proposed film would be applied to the existing window glazing and could be removed in the future without damaging it, making it entirely reversible. Staff therefore recommends that the proposal would not be of adverse effect on the building and recommends approval of these conditions. First, as proposed, the switchable electronic films applied to the five first floor storefront windows are to be used for the projection of artistic and educational graphic displays related to the museum and will not include any type of commercial messaging. Second, as proposed, the switchable film shall take up no more than 70% of the glazed area of each window, maintain a level of transparency, and allow visibility into the space at all times. Third, as proposed, the display shall be off and transparent during most of the day and active for periods of time during the afternoon and evening. A schedule stating when and for what duration the displays will be active shall be provided to historic preservation staff. And four, details and information on the window film and projection system, as well as dimensioned elevations of the windows, illustrating its application, shall be provided to historic preservation for staff review and approval. Alderman Conway has reviewed this proposal and is in support, and the applicant is here and available to answer your questions.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. Commissioner, any questions, Tyler, before we hear from the applicant?
Just one question, I'm assuming the film's installed on the interior face of the glass.
Yeah.
Okay, that probably answers me the question about.
And I did, so we actually received video of this being tested.
Okay.
So these are frames from the video. We're not able to embed the video.
Was 70% visibility agreed upon at the staff level, or that's how the project came to you?
It's kind of what came to us because it's what was tested here. We did actually kind of negotiate about that where this is not a sign. We would be treating it very differently if it's a sign if it had a colorful message. We're looking at this as sort of this, as something that is purely artistic, educational information. So yeah, if it was signage, we would be probably limiting it a lot more.
If it was signage but not commercial, if it was something that it presented like a blade sign attached to, mortar between bricks, but it wasn't something that was selling a business, but it was something that was presented as educational or artistic, would it be treated the same way?
It would probably be differently because it wouldn't be entirely reversible. You'd still be making permanent changes to the building to drill into masonry. And you may be covering or obscuring, if there's the risk of covering or obscuring historic materials, effective features. With the windows, that's what it's, the film is reversible. That was another thing that factored into the decision.
No, I'm just curious, is there a precedent on this application and any other projects?
No, because we haven't had something, this is the first time something like this is proposed. And it's the first time that it wasn't just a sign for advertising, so it was able to sort of move forward.
what about kind of in comparison, we've seen a lot in the kind of the former auto showrooms in Southport. And there's always been some conversation about setback of what you're seeing in the picture windows. This would be flush against the
This
glass.
would be flush against the glass, and that's why we can't approve it to be, even though it would be off most of the time.
Mhm.
There, we want some level of transparency into this space. These windows are huge, so that band at the bottom is still pretty close to eye level. I guess also there are precedents for films applied to windows, and there are precedents for some kind, signage. It was just, this is a little different than both of those things, so. We do want, again, though, we do want a schedule to understand better at some, kind of for what, like what duration, how often these will be on.
That was gonna be my next
Yeah.
question, what the thinking was, and we can talk in specifics about,
Yes. So that's not, not that we would necessarily negotiate an exact set schedule, but we do need to have some idea of just, of what, what the duration would be that this would be on.
Yeah. I mean, I think, just to throw purely commentary out there, there's an argument for hours of operation, I would imagine. I'm just picking up on some of the thoughts that I think some of the other commissioners were getting at, which is what type of precedent are we setting, and is there any other thought that we should have about, just additional guidance that goes with it? Yeah, in general, I think it's kind of a neat application.
Can't hear you.
It-
I'll leave this room, I can't hear.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's a neat application in general.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Let's hear from the applicant.
Hi.
A little bit more.
Sorry, I'm battling a little bit of a head cold, so I'll try to speak as loudly as I can. Thanks for the feedback, and I think these are, the idea actually came to us,
You can introduce yourself.
thanks, Gary Stoltz with our two companies. The idea actually came to us because we were on some of the calls prior to the Democratic Convention about how to activate the streetscape. And one of the groups that presented on one of those calls was this idea, where using films to project moving images. Now, obviously, this is a prominent landmark building, and some of those were more contemporary retail spaces, but that's kind of where the idea came from. And we want visitors and people walking by to be able to see it in the museum, because we are devoting a lot of energy to the kind of what you see through the windows inside the space. And so this is really a couple things. One, to bring energy to the street level, because I think it's when we were testing, people are stopping and asking like, "Oh, what's going on here? What are you guys doing?" And so, we think that for the legacy of the building and the trading community, that a museum is extremely important. A lot of people show up and say, "Hey, can I see the trading floor?" "Oh, hey, I want to learn about trading," and you can't get anywhere in the building due to security. So this is a space that is dedicated to the public. There's no merchandise being sold, no admission for it whatsoever. It's really just to help bring awareness to the community and to the building's architecture. So we thought that this was a way to get people interested in coming into the building, if they just happen to be walking by. So, and given the technology, it's not perfect in sunlight. It's not ideal. So that's why we're thinking towards the end of the day, probably like the commuting window essentially would help display it best. And as Tyler mentioned, this is short, so it is less than 60 seconds, and the intent is for it not to continuously loop. The intent is for to come on, you're walking by like, "Oh wow, what's that?" And then there might be a slide at the end that says, "Come inside the museum and learn about trading," something simple. But then it goes off, and it waits a few minutes and it pops back up. So there would be a kind of cadence to it. But it's not designed to be continuous. It's designed to just be a kind of quick pop that gets your attention. So.
Is the message the same on all five at the same time, or they're different? Or?
It is. So what we're trying to do is use the 5 of them as frames within a moving image. So for this one in particular, each window will have different hand signals that are being shown to help you kind of learn, like, it's not meant to be educational, but it's meant to be like, oh, because that is one of the things within the trading community that people don't, it's curious, right? What's going on with your hand? So there's one with jackets, because jackets are another item within the trading world that are pretty unique. And the jackets will kind of run around the corner, stop. So each window will then have a jacket in it for a brief period. And then there's another one that is devoted to the aesthetic of the ticker. And that also, it's meant to be viewed continuously. They're not necessarily meant to be viewed as individual stills. So
Are you working with a graphic designer already?
we are, and obviously we've been working with Tyler and the Landmark team for a while now on this. The hope is to open in July. So the exhibits are, the graphics for the exhibits are being installed, and we work with a group to come up with the visuals on the inside of the museum. Will be kind of an immersive theater experience where we play 6-7 minute video about trading and the architecture, the development of buildings. So yeah, the intent is to get you into experience that.
I'm assuming there's some short throw projectors on the interior of the space. Are those generally kind of out of view, when it's going to be transparent?
And that's what's driving the 70%, is because those are at the ceiling level, and we want to.
I can't hear y'all. You should have had that in a room that had my, I can't hear.
Sorry, yeah, the size of the images in the window is dictated by the projector and its location within the space.
This is a fairly new technology, and you're presenting it here in terms of educational and artistic merit. Could you also say that there's probably a near future where this is going to be something that is used for commercial purposes, maybe along the same corridor?
I don't know about a person to ask that. Obviously, it's a historic corridor, and there's sensitivities around that. I think, there are a lot of vacant storefronts around, and there are a lot of opaque films in windows in landmark buildings around the neighborhood. I think bringing some sort of artistic awareness to the community is, I would be in full support of. Commercially, I think there are examples on the sale right now where similar technologies, or something similar where a TV screen is large and pressed up against the inside of the glass and it's moving, that already exists in landmark buildings right now on a sale. So, I mean, I think part of the appeal of this is that it's a bit standalone. That people haven't seen something like this, or it draws your attention. I'm not proposing that every building uses moving graphics to get people.
And I think it's considered what's inside too.
Yeah.
Striving, that's what's driving.
Yeah, it's not like there's gonna have a Blade Runner future, in 2 weeks, but you never know. I mean, I guess I know an example of this at the Bryn Mawr stop on the Red Line. There's an empty storefront that uses this technology. It's a little bright.
Yeah.
Is sort of the brightness that can be controlled with it?
It's because it's projected onto a translucent surface. It's never quite as bright as we would have liked it to have been.
Sure.
It's dulled down a little bit because of that. We can't. The film is either on or off. You can't control its translucency.
Okay.
So you can't, we can control the brightness of the projectors if it's too much. And part of the intent with this, when we were doing these mock-ups, were to see if there's any residual light that's spilled onto the sidewalk or that spilled through. So if you're heading south on LaSalle, are you seeing hot spots coming through the windows from projectors? And we were pleasantly surprised that no, not so. Not only aesthetically, but also from a safety perspective.
Any other questions, commissioners? Seeing none, let's go to public comment. And we'll begin with Mr. Ward Miller.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. Ward Miller, Richard H. Treehouse, Executive Director of the nonprofit group Preservation Chicago. We very much support this idea. This was a former banking space to our memory, and the idea of having a new museum talking about the various facets of trading and what the Board of Trade does really is an educational outreach to the public. These windows have been vacant for a while. The idea of having a new institution on LaSalle Street, where we've seen a lot of vacancy, and bring that interest to the public is really commendable. So we want to support this idea. The other thing is that this video screen, if you will, or transparent window, is behind the glass, and I think that's really important as well. We see other instances, like Gary mentioned, where there are TV screens behind glass. Of course, on State Street at the former Carson Prairie Scott store, we've got a lot of signage, even in the form of large panels with the Target sign. You see that also at the State Madison corner. So, is that really much different? I think we just want to be careful about regulating, maybe hours of visibility. But we understand this is, a new age, and we have to grab people best we can into our museums, our storefronts, our landmark buildings. We want these buildings to be workable buildings. We don't think that with the limited hours that this really takes away from the Board of Trade building and its landmark status. And of course, it's also on the inside of the building, on the inside of the glass. So I think we're going to see more of these from the discussions we've been having with city officials and community groups along State Street and North Michigan Avenue. So I think this is a reality, and it's wonderful that Gary and his team at R2 could be here and join us today, and that we have this kind of discussion, because I think we're going to see it often in the future. And I think the real concern is, how many hours it's on, and if we don't go to advertising like a bus stop stand, if you will, right? So thank you.
Here, or send someone from the open topic.
I thank you. Dan Luna, Chief of Staff for Alderman Conway here in the 34th Ward. The Alderman asked me to stop by just to show his support for this. He would want me, or did want me to interject that the not including any type of commercial messaging in this is very important to his support for this request. Anything other than that, we can talk about later on down the line, but right now for this, he just wanted me to come in and show his support for it. And thank you guys for the opportunity to do so. I appreciate your thought and consideration for this request. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Being here. And then we'll go back public comment. Mr. George Blakemore.
Yes. Number one, I'm happy about choosing this room. And that gentleman, first speak, I couldn't hear him. The rooms develop as council, when you speak through a mic, people can be able to hear you. All of you choose this room. The main thing, I'm totally against any type of lighting, and it's very commercial. When you look at these historical places, have all this lighting, I know the intention is to try to bring them in, but do this better by educating and informing the public, not with this Broadway lighting. It's not in the interest, not good public policy for our historical field. So again, it's very important for a person of my caliber to attend these meetings. So I'm appalled when he started speaking right there, so soft. When you have, each one of you should have a mic, and where one can hear you. So I am against this, because it's just too much commercialism. Like you go to New York or something to see all these, like your intention is to bring people in. Maybe you should use another method. I educate, inform the public that this is a dying art, the Board of Trade. It's not like it used to be. So you can get the word out better, word of mouth and through education. But through this electronic, it's not good. And I'm entitled to my opinion. All these historical buildings should not have. And I want to know, did you fulfill your NBE and WB qualification? Because this has to go through contracts and compliance also. So if you haven't, why you haven't? So I'm not intimidated by any of you here. I'm totally against this. And I've stated the reasons for it. And if I continue to talk, somebody say, your 3 minutes is up. Did you time this man? Well then, you shaking your head. And another thing I'm advocating for, to educate the people about the historical buildings. There's no quick fix with advertising, it's through education that you can let them know, it's the board of trade. But instead of you wanna fix, a quick fix by having some electronics time. It's not good for our historical building. So I've been heard, I've been seen, and ancestors appreciate me. I don't give a damn what you think about me. I'm totally against this project.
Mr. Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the last person signed up to speak on this item, I'd like to back to final discussion from our commission.
I am prepared to spend a good amount of money on really great graphic art for the next several years that these are up.
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
I guess here's what I was maybe leaning to. I think opening up a museum space is really noble. I think the corridor could use it. I think everything that can enliven LaSalle Street at all times of day is important. And what I would be concerned about is that it's a big project to put actually video art up on the street for people to enjoy, because you're gonna have to sustain that over time. What I'd hate to see would be that to be the first 6 months of the program. And then realizing that, well, the better option here is advertising anyway. And it seems like everybody's committed to not seeing advertising on there, but I all think we all can see it's a slippery slope before this will become something that is used for advertising everywhere. Would the museum be committing to spending the money to constantly be putting new graphics up, or would this be the program just up for?
It's a small museum, and so I think that it's similar to other, like, forget the name of it, the Van Gogh Museum, where after everybody who sees it, fantastic sign, like it was in one of our buildings, it's great, but you usually don't go 2 or 3 times.
No, you see it one,
Right,
yeah.
so this is a small museum that we expect will have to evolve. And it was designed in a way so that the content could evolve somewhat easily, so we recognize that there's a shelf life to this,
Okay.
and that's part of why we don't want to show it that much as well at the street level. Yes, we will as a, and within, you guys know enough about the state of Chicago office that our mandate here with this building is to make sure that it isn't forgotten, that we are breathing new life into it. And so while this is one of a number of things, and I welcome anybody to come by the building or give you a tour and show you what we've done to help revitalize it. But this will have to change over time. Yeah.
And it's possible that in a future iteration of the museum space, it might not even use this technology.
Correct, and it's, right now, it is about architecture and trading. And I think, how the buildings evolve physically around these trading spaces within it. But over time, it may become trading in Chicago, or it may become something that's a little broader in scale, but it will have to evolve.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting at, 'cause I think you nailed it with the Van Gogh exhibit. It's like, once you've seen it, you kind of know what it looks like. It's a cool contribution to the neighborhood, assuming it becomes an evolving space for art. Otherwise it becomes something like, it's just a bright window that I've seen a bunch of times when I walk past it. So just being able to commit to it, as long as you have it on, keeping it something that is artistic and educational.
And that's what's great about technology. You can always just turn it off
Sure.
and it's clear.
And peel it out the window.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, with that, I'd like to request a motion to adopt that recommendation.
So
So moved by Commissioner Ponce. Second by Commissioner Fair.
Aye.
Commissioner Rubin, yes. Yes, motion carried, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Needed a request of minute, 5-minute recess. Put a pause on that?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure will.
Second. Yeah.
How are you?
Right.
It's actually
Mr. Chairman. That was a good discussion. That's gonna come up time and time again, I think. It's nice you can turn it off. It's a clear window. Just see those.
It's going to be all over the place in terms of commercial use, very safe.
We're talking about this up and down State Street, Michigan Avenue, so.
The ones that are.
And then you have a landmark district on Michigan Avenue.
And yeah.
Figure we didn't need to wade into that.
Say one, I get paid artists to do great work. It's all of our opportunity to bring attention to patients who are from. That's good. It's not money.
Really good question. We run into that in university all the time. So, it's frustrating to a program now. To have it, because if you go to jail.
Yep.
But the upside of that is it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's a nice. Practicality, yes. It'll be up to the first version of it, you know. I don't know how expensive it is, you know how expensive it is,
If it look at projections for you, the system,
yeah. It's expensive.
we don't know, but it's. What's interesting is there's technology for finger screens are being used, and they. Which is another thing you're supposed to get proposed, but we're not gonna figure out what to do about it, because the little difference is much slighter, probably than what you mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know that the projectors and the film is all that
They had a
so,
Last year.
I don't know how much that costs or how much it.
Yeah.
Pertaining to the Chicago.
I don't know if they, how. It's turning on, off, how long it takes.
Like to call the meeting back to order. We'll move to our second and final project of the day. 925 West Fulton Market, excuse me.
And have you started?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. 925 West Fulton Market, the 27th Ward, Fulton, Randolph Market District. The proposed installation of a new blade sign at the northeast corner of the building measuring 14 feet tall by 3 foot 4 wide. And let's call on Tyler Taylor again for the report. Thank you.
Thank you. The subject property is a tenant space within the newly constructed non-contributing building that takes up the entire west half of the block along North Sangamon between West Fulton Market to the north and West Lake Street to the south. The building itself was initially approved by the Permit Review Committee in July 2021. The subsequent changes to the design approved in March 2022. Construction is now nearing completion, and the ground floor tenant space at the northwest corner of the building at the intersection of Fulton Market and Sangamon will be built out by Gibson's Tavern. That's the space that currently has the plywood in this photo taken recently. To identify the restaurant, a large blade sign is proposed at the corner of the building, projecting out 45 degrees to the north and west elevations. The proposed sign is composed of a 10-inch thick cabinet clad in metal, measuring 14 feet tall by 3 foot 4 inches wide overall. A portion of the sign is wider at 5 feet to accommodate the word tavern written horizontally. The letters are proposed to be raised gold and outlined with gold LED tubing to simulate neon. Staff recommends the materials, illumination, and overall appearance of the sign are consistent with the standards for signage in the district. A fully dimensioned and large section detail identifying all components, including materials and illuminating elements, should be provided with the permit application when submitted. In addition, all electrical components such as conduit, junction boxes, and transformers should be concealed and they should be confirmed with a note on the permit drawings. At 14 feet in height, the sign is relatively large in comparison to existing signs in the district. It is intended to be the only projecting sign for the ground floor tenant that will occupy nearly all the tenant storefronts on, or it will occupy all the tenant storefronts on the Fulton Market elevation, highlighted here in blue. And on the Sangamon elevation, Gibson's will occupy 5 of the 7 tenant storefronts. The building itself has several sections with varied roof heights. The section on the corner where the sign is proposed to be mounted is 4 stories tall and over 60 feet in height. Because it will be the only large projecting sign and the significant height of the building itself, staff recommend the size of the sign is not out of proportion with the height and width of the building. However, the sign is proposed to be mounted with the bottom 12 foot 6 inches above grade of the sidewalk and 26 foot 6 inches to the top, with only about a foot of the sign, so 70% of its vertical height, below the top of the first floor storefront. The majority of the sign will be above the second floor rack. This gives the impression that the business occupies at least 2 floors, although Gibson's will only have dining on the first floor. Staff therefore recommends the entire sign be relocated at least 2 feet lower, so the bottom of the sign is no more than 10 foot 6 above grade at the sidewalk. With this condition, in addition to the others previously mentioned, the proposed sign will not have an adverse effect on the landmark district, and staff recommend approval. Alderman Burnett has reviewed the proposal and has no objection. The Westfield Community Organization has also reviewed the proposal and also has no objection. Joe Antunovich and Steve Lombardo are here and available to answer your questions.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Commissioners, any questions for Tyler before we go from the applicants? Seeing none, let's hear from Mr. Antonovich.
Joe Antunovich, with Antunovich Associates. Thank you, for your recommendation. We're very proud of the design, working collaboratively with Gibson's, and, we think it's very appropriate. It harkens a little bit of the past, bringing back some of the signage that existed, has existed for restaurants in Chicago. But I think at this particular location, it's very appropriate and somewhat restrained for Gibson's. Perhaps, Steve, I'd like Steve to say a few words.
Sure, Steve Lombardo, CEO of Gibson's Restaurant Group. Yes, if you've been to Rush Street, you've seen the signage there is about, I don't know, 2 to 2.5 times that size. It is something that we do want people to be able to see as they're coming from either direction. But you know, the restaurant itself is something that, you know, even though it's a new building, the restaurant itself is intended to, from an architectural standpoint, more on the interior to evoke a pre-Art Deco, sort of post-Victorian time period that the Fulton Market District had 100 years ago.
Thank you. Questions, commissioners? How many restaurants does Gibson's have? Is this Chicago based or?
So yeah, we're a Chicago-based restaurant group. We have, this will be restaurant number 14. We have, I think this will be 7 in the city. So number 7. Yeah.
Are you all in alignment or willing to meet the conditions that were set by the staff in terms of loading?
Yes, the conditions that staff have included here, we are 100% in agreement with those conditions and the matters that you've asked to include in the permit set when we come forward to with our final sign permit. Those will be included. We agree with all of those.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, move to public comment. I believe we only have one public comment for this item. Mr. George Blakemore?
Yes, I'm totally against, it's that the reason that it looked much like New York in their historical district. I'll call it again, it's very important to educate the public about this permit committee. And your job, each one of you that sit on this committee, your job is to educate and inform the public. So when I come here, I just see you. And this is not good government. The more people that get involved in government, the more effective you will be. So since it's only you here, nobody else here, no public speakers or anything, this is not a good look. It's not a good look. So again, that you sit on this committee, you're supposed to educate the people, to let them know what you're doing here. So some people don't even know about this. And next time, please, we have rooms downstairs on the second floor. The chamber that you can use, each one of you will have a speaker in front of you. And that you will be able, that people will be able to hear you. Who made the choice to come up here? And some of you are talking so softly and read so softly. I guess I think I must be the loudest person here. And it's a reason why did you pick this one? No, it's not good government. Each one of you that speak, y'all supposed to speak into a speaker, and the public is supposed to hear. But since the public is not here, nobody here representing the public of Mr. Blakemore. And this young man right over here is hooked up with the Historical Society. And he's a yes vote for whatever you all present here. And I'm a no vote. I'm totally against lighting up our historical places with this type of garbage. Like, history, you're supposed to try to preserve history and not, this is not an entertainment area, even though it's a lot of restaurants are going up in there and it's about the money. This man from Gibson, he wants to sign it up, he wants to make money, but at the expense of the historical district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. We do have one more person time to speak, Mr. Ward Miller.
Yes, hi, Ward Miller, Richard H. Treehouse, Executive Director of the nonprofit group Preservation Chicago. We understand some of the concerns Mr. Blakemore has mentioned, but we also understand that this is a very popular destination and district. It's a non-historic building. We see a lot of signage on a lot of our historic buildings in the district that some of it was there before the district came about. Some of it has sort of come after. We also understand that Gibson's is a world-renowned steakhouse and restaurant. It has many locations. This adds to the to the many reasons one would come to this district. As I said, it's a new building, so I think it's sort of handled a little differently, even though that's a slippery slope too. We have to be careful about our signage, but traditionally we did see a lot of signage like this throughout Chicago. So this is not unusual. And I think in this particular case, and it's a case by case basis, building by building, I think this is okay to move forward with.
Great, thank you, Mr. Miller. No one else is signed up to speak, so we'll close public comment and we'll move to final discussion. Commissioners, any final discussion?
I mean, on my end, I definitely appreciate the scale of the sign. And it's very classic and it just fits, I think it fits like a glove in this area. And if, just thinking about when you said everybody knows the existing one at Rush, maybe you might want to consider the size of this one. But it's I think it fits great and yeah, that would be my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponce. Any others? Okay, then with that, I'd like to move to staff recommend, or to make a motion to adopt the staff recommendation. Do we have a motion? So moved, Commissioner Fair.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Rubin. And Commissioner Ponce is a yes, and I'm a yes. Motion carried unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert.
Exciting.
Be sure to come in a year when we're open.
Okay, that brings us, no further business for today, so I'd like to request a motion to adjourn. So moved. So moved, Commissioner Fair, seconded, Commissioner Rubin.
Yes.
Commissioner Muncy is a yes, I'm a yes, and, Commissioner Unitas, please, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Joe?